Hey everybody, Paul from Better Chess, bringing you round 4 of the 2024 Washington Senior Open. I have the black pieces against the 1700, so 173-point rating difference in my favor. Let's see what happens. So the game begins knight f3, d5, g3, and I'm already, hate to be so honest, but I'm a little confused about what's going on. This looks like a Catalan, and I just try to match what he is doing. Knight f6, bishop g2. I should probably play c5 here like the rest of the world, but I don't. I just decide to kind of mirror what he is doing. G6, he plays d4, and I'm just going to go with a slow build-up. He castles, I castle. He plays, again, principal move, c4. And this is called Fianchetto Grunfeld, but technically when I play this, it comes sort of like a semi-Slavish position, right? That's very solid, but I don't have a lot of experience in. So already I'm finding that I'm just seeing ghosts here, right? I'm worried about moves like, queen b3 and then pressuring this and knight c3 and bishop f4, and he has all these good moves, and my pieces are kind of idle. They're not really doing very much, and I feel like I'm already behind in development. So he plays the very odd knight e5, which I don't understand. I think he just play queen b3. Like I said, this is a reasonable move. Just put pressure, and then knight c3. But knight e5 is weird, and again, I'm just trying to get my pieces developed. Probably should play like d takes c4, break up the center, maybe takes, and then bishop e6. Just create some development with some attacking ideas, right, to keep me in the game and keep him off balance. But instead, I don't do that. I play the dubious bishop f5. Why is it dubious? Well, although it does put pressure on the center, it does weaken this pawn. And then queen b3 now comes with tempo, so it's not exactly a very thoughtful idea. But he continues to play well. He plays knight c3, putting more pressure, and he's going to play queen b3. And again, there's a lot of questions about how I'm going to defend this. Now, if I play something like queen c7 to kind of defend the b7 square, well, then he has bishop f4. Right, he just goes here and puts pressure on the diagonal if I do that. So that's not an idea either. So now I play this really bad move. This is a series of dubious moves, and this is a bad move. I play knight a6. Now, I should just play something like knight bd7 or d takes c4, as I mentioned, but knight a6, why did I play that? I think the idea I was thinking over the board is I'm going to play back to c7 and try and defend d5. But then I looked at this carefully and I realized, wait a minute. Aren't I worse here? Because after queen b3, doesn't he just win a pawn? And the answer is yes. However, it's not a clean pawn as you might think. He's just better, right? And the way he plays it is not precise. He should have played queen b3, right? And then I play rook b8 to defend, and then we trade, and he just starts building up his position, and white is way better. He's on the rook, through this diagonal, and I'm in real trouble here. But instead, he takes first. I take. And then he plays queen b3. And I'm already stressing here because I'm hanging a b pawn, hanging the d pawn. Everything is a mess, right? There's really no good moves. So not even move 10, and I'm saying to myself, I'm already going to be down a pawn. How embarrassing. Like, this is a really bad show of chess, even at the 1900 level. So I play the passive but relatively sound rook b8. It's not a lot. And just sort of dug in my heels. And then I realized, he has some trouble too here. Not as much as I do, but notice this bishop hasn't been developed. The rooks haven't really been developed either. And this pawn is not protected. And then I realized, what if he just takes? Am I in trouble? And the answer is no, and here's why. He immediately takes on d5. The move, believe it or not, according to Stockfish, and not a move I would ever see in a million years, is like rook d1, just continuing the pressure and continuing the build-up, on that pawn, right? And even after I play knight c7, he just continues to develop, and I'm just worse, right? Not lost, but definitely worse. See the slow build up I can do. Position. Look at this hole now on C6. The C file is open. I have these. This is all these problems. I have to play Queen E8, and he's just going to slowly expand and improve on his position. So he's way better. But instead, he takes on D5, and then I realize, wait a minute, this is just equal. I take. He takes with the bishop, of course, or he could take with the queen, and then I have this E6, and I realize, wait a minute, I can take his D pawn. So he moves his bishop back, and I take his D pawn, while still hitting the knight, right, on E5. And then I'm saying to myself, well, okay, I got out of that, but I am in no shape to really be playing this game because this is a bit of a mess. So he plays back to F3, and then I just play the sort of peaceful Queen B4, offering trades and making a decision to go into an ending and maybe peter this out to a draw because I'm just, for some reason, not into playing this round and I can't get myself together. That's a bad attitude and a wrong attitude. I recognize that now. It's very important to keep up the fight and always cause problems for your opponent, and I really didn't do that here. Anyway, he declines. He plays Queen E3. I play B6, kind of putting a post on C5 and also getting rid of the B7 weakness so I can move my B8 rook. And then he starts going back to what he was doing, knight E5, opening the diagonal for his bishop. I play back to D6. And the threat, though, by the way, just so you're aware, is he has this move. hitting queen and rook. And also he has this hitting both rooks. So I sort of freak out for a minute when he plays. I say 95. I'm like, oh my god, am I losing an exchange? And the answer is no. It's just Queen D6. But I'm a bit paranoid. He plays knight C6 anyway, but I recognize that I can calmly defend with Rook B7, even though there's a discovery from the G7, the G2 bishop. He plays to F3. I play Rook C7 to be on the knight. And now he plays an odd move. He plays E4, supposedly trapping the bishop, but the problem is I just take his knight. Right? He captures the bishop. I take his queen. He recaptures on F3, and then I just play GF5. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm up a pawn. Am I winning? No, but I'm up a pawn in this strange ending. He has the bishop pair, so it's going to be hard to convert this, but it's interesting. So after some thinking, I should have just probably doubled rooks. I'm planning on doing that, but his next move should probably be Rook D1. He plays instead H4, sort of expanding on the king side. This is a tough move here, but it's very important to constantly pose threats to your opponent. Rook FC8 is a move, but that doesn't really threaten anything. The correct move here, technically speaking, is Rook C2. Again, immediate pressure on B2. He has to do something. Right, but I don't do that. I play I don't want to say dubious, but not precise, knight B4. Just getting my knight back in the game, idea to go to C2, and then maybe D4. I can hop to D5. I have all these different options. Not right now, but at some point. Right? I can go here, and then I can rotate back here. It's something. I feel it's something reasonable. Now he plays Rook D1. I pop into C2. Again, I think the rook should go there instead. So this is really not a great move. It's kind of amateurish idea. Hitting the rook, of course, he moves it. Now I double. He plays back to E2. I think the idea is he wants to play bishop A6, which is not a terrible idea. Right? So I play E5, beginning my move up the board with these passers. Or I shouldn't say passers, but my connected pawns that might become passers. Okay, he plays bishop A6, predictable as I thought. I move back to B8. And now I'm thinking I might trap this bishop with B5. Is that a possibility? But he plays B3. Think about this a little bit. Play knight B4. He moves the bishop. And then I just decided to take the A2 pawn. I mean, why not? It's another pawn. And the threat now is to go to C3. And technically speaking, hitting these guys, which is a real problem. And technically speaking, I'm winning here. hard as that is to believe, this is now pretty much decisive, right? Virtually decisive. And so what do I do here? Well, I think about this for a long time, actually, and recognize, I have to start getting my pieces active and start flowing the pieces, into some sort of plan. Like, what am I going to do moving forward? And I kind of do this as follows. First, he plays bishop b2, which is a bit of a strange move. It's not the recommended move. Instead, he should have played bishop d2. And apparently this loses, although I didn't see how. Right? I should have just played something like e4, exclam, and then after trades, or rook a1, if he takes. I'm just better here. I'm trading off pieces, and I have an extra pawn. Right? But instead, I play knight c3, question mark, just liquidating, take, and I figured, hey, I have the two bishops are gone. I have an extra pawn or so. 4 pawns to 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 pawns. This is going to be okay. And he starts, rook d7. I'm trying to push my pawns. Bishop c4. And now I'm thinking, gosh, he's getting some good counterplay here. I miss playing this. This is not strong. So I have to go back to f8. Passive but important. And he does the correct move, rook b7. Again, pressuring weaknesses, right? b6 is a problem. So I say, okay, let's go e4. Trying to create some counterplay, maybe with e3 and then bishop d4 to try to get the bishop into a better diagonal. And he doesn't take, though. He plays rook d1. Smart move. And then I realize his plan, he's going to play rook d7. Double on the 7th. So I get a little panicked here. I play a4. The move here is a very hard move to find, f4. I would have never found this move to disrupt things. It's not winning. It keeps me with a slight advantage. The idea is takes, and I get behind the pawn, and I can take, and everything turns out to be equal in the end. After rook a5 and so on. But at any rate, I play a4 in a bit of a panic. He then doubles up on the file. It's a question mark move, though. Oddly enough, it's not the right move. So I freak out here, and I say, you know what? I'm going to take this bishop. It's too strong. It's a question mark move. The correct move is just takes ab3. He can't do much. I just move my bishop. If he takes, I just take. Yeah, bishop f8, and that's it. I'm safe for the most part. All right. That's it. It's probably just a draw if accurately played. All right, this is very hard. I have a very good advantage here at the end of this. Okay, so rook takes c4. He captures back. Very weird and complicated game. I just say, okay, what would Fritz do here? What would Stockfish do? What would the computer do? I would probably push the pawn, and that's what I did. Seems to be the right move. He follows up there, and then I play bishop b2 to protect. And I figured to myself, how is he really going to improve on this? He really can't. Right? So he plays rook d5 to get after the f5 pawn. Then I play rook c8 and offer him a draw, and he accepted, strangely enough. Back at move 26, and I forgot to mention this, at bishop a6 he offered me a draw, and I declined. I probably should have just taken it because I felt I had some advantage here. But in this position, white still has a bit of an advantage. Actually, as strange as that may sound, because he's exchange up. But I agreed that it was just time to accept the draw and move on. So that's round 4. Again, more rust, more inaccurate play. The lesson being to trust your instincts, play solid moves, don't try and be experimental. And had I done that, I probably would have had a better outing. So thank you for watching this video. One more video to go, which is the 5th and final round, where actually the game I played is very interesting, and I think there's a lot of instruction in that game waiting. So I'll post that in a day or so. For now, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.